So it should be fairly straightforward. Right, it's like 11 o'clock, so we'll get started. So I'm going to assume you've been able to log in at some point to Solo Learn. Hopefully you've been able to complete, like I have, the basic concepts ones. So what is Python, your first program, simple operations, floats, but I'm not going to read them all out. And then take the quiz, 5 questions. As you can see, I've passed them all, I think I can. So on this screen now, we've got blue, we have control structures. I don't quite know what it looks like on your app, but I will presume it's fairly easy to find. So I'm going to go through the first 3 with you guys, and then after that, it's the last lesson, last week of term, you can feel free to do as much as you like. So we'll start with Boolean and comparisons. Boolean is another type in Python, is the Boolean type. There are 2 Boolean values, similar to binary, or very similar actually, true or false. They can be created by comparing values, for instance, by using the equal operator, equals equals. So an example, my underscore Boolean equals true, my underscore Boolean, and then it says true, because it's in that particular case, you've put that my Boolean is the variable. So the next example, 2 is equal to 3, that comes back as false, because it obviously isn't true. And then hello equals hello. So because you've put speech marks around it, that's going to store it as like as a string. So it's just comparing the characters inside it. It doesn't know it says the word hello. It doesn't know it's a word. It doesn't know what language it's in. It just compares each letter. Are they in the same order? Yes, therefore it comes back as true. So it also says here, be careful not to confuse the assignment value of just a single equal sign with a comparison, which is 2 equal sign. That's this little yellow tick box, which will come up on your Solo Learn app when you do the same activity. So what are the 2 values in Python? Well, the question here is, you've got 2 that are the same. You've got true and false, and then you've got true and false, but with lowercase letters. So we're going to try this one. Capital T, capital F. Correct. Comparison, another comparison operator, the not equal sign, so exclamation mark equal, evaluates to true if the items being compared aren't equal, and false if they are. So it's kind of like the other way around. So in the first example, is 1 not equal to 1? It's false because it is equal to 1. But it's kind of like the opposite way around, and it's a bit there to kind of, not going to catch you out, but it can be useful in programming that you would need to say you compare 2 values, and then it's easier code-wise to do it. Is it not equal to, rather than say if it's equal to, yeah, that's great, and then if not, do something else. You can. So it just sometimes saves a bit of leg work when you're doing your coding. So in the first example here, 1 not equal to 1, that's false. 11 not equal to 7, that's true, because we've put it in speech marks here. It's just a string, so it's just examining what are the characters that are in between the speech marks. Are they the same? No. So if it's not equal, then it comes back as true. 2 equal. So here, the second and the first example, you'll notice that the numbers don't have speech marks around them. That puts them in as an integer. So is 2 equal to 10? No. So rather, 2 not equal to 10 is true. Again, have a here, the little tick box doesn't really go into any detail. It just says have a play around the code. So feel free, you can go and tweak it and do your own little things. We didn't really cover this in Small Basic, and you wouldn't have covered it in Python in Year 9 either, mainly because, well, it's just we were trying to do to make the lessons engaging, we're trying to make little programs that you could do and you could tweak and stuff. So we didn't really get into the operators, but you would need to know about these if you did it at GCSE. Now we'll go on to the next one to do a quick activity. Is 7 not equal to 8? This is true. Python also has operators that determine whether one number, a float or an integer, is greater than or smaller than another. These operators are arrow left and arrow right respectively. I don't know what they're actually called, I do apologise. So in the first example, is 7 greater than 5? True. Is 10 greater than 10? That's false because it's the same. Again, just have a go with this. Try it yourself code. Have a go with that one. But we'll move on. I'll put it on actually, just for the sake of it. Just give it a second to load up. So just as here we've got little 2 lines of code, we can print run straight away. And then we can change it so we can put is 7 greater than 8. Let me rerun it. And then it comes back as false. So you can do this anytime you want. And I'm presuming that there is some sort. I must admit I should have checked, but I haven't checked how well this works on your phone. But I'm guessing there is some sort of code playground you can have a look at. So we'll just move on now to what is the output of this code? Is 7 the same as 7? Now here we have an integer because it's just a whole number, and here we have a float because it says, even though it's the same, if you said in current or a calculator 7 plus 7.0, it wouldn't have a problem. In Python it does notice a difference, or programming notices a difference, but it does say that the comparison operators don't actually really care. It knows that it's a number value of some sort. So is 7 greater than 7? No, it's not. The greater than or equal to and smaller than or equal to operators are arrow right and equal and arrow left equal. Again, I should know what their names are. They are the same as the strict greater than and smaller than operators, except that they return true when comparing equal numbers. So in the example we have here, 7, is that less than or equal to 8? Yes, it's true. It is less than 8, so it's true. And the second one, is 9 greater than or equal to 9? Yes, it is. So that comes back as true as well. Here in the tip box, we have some more little tidbits to help you out. Greater than and smaller than operators can also be used to compare strings lexicographically. Don't actually know how that word. The alphabetical order of words is based on the alphabetical order of their component letters. Well, the more you know. So I'll have a quick go on activity now. What is the output of this code? Is 8.7 equal to, or sorry, less than or equal to 8.70? It's true. So we've done Boolean and comparisons. We'll have a look at if and else statements, and then I will leave you guys to do your own thing. Well, have a go at the activities. So if statements, we have definitely done these. We have used these to create our own little programs about the weather and stuff like that. So you can use if statements to run code if a certain condition it holds or is true. If an expression evaluates to true, some statements are carried out, otherwise they aren't carried out. An if statement looks like this: if expression colon statements. Python uses indentation, white space at the beginning of a line, to delimit blocks of code. Python indentation is mandatory. That means you have to do it. Programs will not work without it. As you can see, the if statements in the statements in the if should be indented. So this is like an error checking thing. Sometimes, depending on the program or the editor or the program you are using, it'll make it easy to indent. It will point out you've not indented stuff. It depends on which one. You like the one we use at school. Actually, Notepad++ is the one I like to use. I find it just a lot faster. Now you can get other Python programming programs, IDE, I think, development environments, that will help you out more. It's up to you, it's personal preference. I mean, there's an Adobe one called Scratch.io or something. There's loads of different programs. You can even use Dreamweaver to program Python, although Dreamweaver is not the best one. Although it is on the school computer, so we've never actually opened it. It's easy for doing HTML. Right, so let's have a look at the activity. What part of an if statement should be indented? The statements within it, all of it, or the first line. So if you go back and check it, the first line is not indented, so it can't be all of it and it can't be the first line, so we will go with the statement within it. If statements, here is an example of an if statement. If 10 is greater than 5, print 10 greater than 5, print program ended. So we'll just do a quick example, try it yourself, and let's see what happens. So if 10 is greater than 5, print 10 greater than 5, but then print whatever happened, then print program ended. So 10 is greater than 5. What I will do here is I think nothing will happen now, or it'll throw up an error, because 10 isn't greater than 11. So it's just printed program ended. So it's ignored. It's not printed anything here because we've just put if. We've not asked it to do anything else. If 10 is greater than 11, print 10. Well, we'll put here 11. But it's not, so it's not printed anything. What it has done is just kind of gone through its code. It's not returned an error of any sort because it's not programmatically wrong, but we've not asked it to do anything if the number we put in second is actually greater than 10. So it just prints program ended. Leave that one. The expression determines whether 10 is greater than 5. Since it is, the indented statement runs and 10 greater than 5 is the output. Then the unindented statement, which is not part of the if statement, is run and program ended is displayed. As I just showed you, even if the code doesn't print anything out in terms of the number 10 greater than 5 thing, it will still print program ended because that's a separate part of the program in Python's eyes. So the result is what we saw the first time I ran it. Notice the colon at the end of the expression of an if statement. This is something, going back up to here, this is where we did a lot of error checking, because you can forget, you know, even if you do, like, you can put a capital P would make it not work, missing a colon would make it not work, missing a speech mark, missing a bracket would make the program fail. So here it's just highlighting the need for a colon, and that's going to give us a bit of a clue as to when the activity is coming up in a bit. So in the yellow box, when the program contains multiple lines of code, you should create a separate file and run it. Or create it as a separate file and run it. Okay, that's just what you're trying to avoid there. If you do programming for a living, certainly more complex websites is the thing I have more experience with, is that you don't want, if you're having like a website that's like 25 pages long, what you don't want to do is put all the code on one HTML file, because it just makes finding errors for one particular place so much harder to find. You would ideally keep each little file, whether it's a Python file, whether it's a CSS file, whether it's an HTML file, you would ideally keep them as small as possible. It just makes, as a human, managing them a lot easier. The computer doesn't really care. You know, Google can run a whole website off one big HTML file. You can put everything in it. You can put the styling, you can put all the paths to everything you need in there. It could be 5 million lines long. Google wouldn't really have a problem with it. But as a human, you know, 5 million lines of code, which is, you know, I imagine Facebook and Twitter and all these places and YouTube are, you know, lots and lots of lines of code. You can imagine how hard it'd be to try and find one error if you were doing it all. So that's what this is about. It's just trying to say keep files as small as possible and then use them when you need them. That also makes the websites or the programs run faster as well. So what is the output of this code? Spam equals 7. If spam is less than 5, greater than 5, print 5. If spam is greater than 8, print 8. So 7 is, notice that it's done when you put the variables in here, it's not using speech marks, so it's recognizing them as whole numbers, which is an integer. So is spam greater than 5? Print 5. If spam is greater than 8, print 8. It is greater than 5, but it's not greater than 8, so we stop here and we print 5. If statements. To perform more complex checks, if statements can be nested one inside the other. This means that if the inner if statement is the statement part of the outer one. What? Oh, sorry, not if. This means the inner if statement is the statement part of the outer one. This is one way to see whether multiple conditions are satisfied. For example, num, that's the variable, number equals 12. If number is less than, greater than 5, print bigger than 5. If number is less than and equal to or equal to 47, print between 5 and 47. So here the code, it's both. Sorry, less than or equal to 47. So because it's both of those things, it prints bigger than 5 and it also prints between 5 and 47. Again, you can, this, if you click on try itself, it'll show you. It will have that same code in here and you can try and tweak the numbers, although I'm pretty sure you guys understand how it works mathematically in your head. So let's just get rid of that. Again, this isn't really saying anything new today, so it's just saying have a go with the code. I mean, the more you get familiar with it, the easier it is. Like anything, the more you do it, the easier it gets, you know. So what is the output of this code? Number equals 7. If number is greater than 3, print 3. If number is less than 5, print 5. If number is equal to 7, print 7. Well, if here you can see it's only going to accept one answer here, so it's not going to print. You can't have the final one. Because it's in speech mark. The answer is 3 anyway. Right, the last thing we're going to look at is else statements. There's 3 questions to work through, and then I will leave you guys to do your own activities at your own pace. An else statement follows an if statement and contains code that is called when the if statement evaluates to false. As with if statements, the code inside the block should be indented. Now, if and else is something we definitely did as well. X equals 4. If X is exactly equal to 5, print yes. Else print no. The answer is no, because 4 is not equal to 5. Again, because there's no speech marks around these, excuse me, the program sees it as an integer, as a whole number, not as a character. If you put, it would still work the same. You could put if x equals and then put it in speech marks and then 5 in speech marks. That would be okay. You put the both in speech marks. That's a minor thing. So let's have a go at the activity. If 1 add 1 is exactly equal to 2, if 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, print else, print if, else, print else. If 1 plus 1 is exactly equal to 2, okay. Oh, my bad. Let's get one wrong eventually. Else statement. You can chain if and else statements to determine which option in a series of possibilities is true. For example, num equals 7. If num is exactly equal to 5, print number is 5. Else, if num is exactly equal to 11, print number is 11. Else, if num is exactly equal to 7, print number is 7. If it's not either of those, if it's not any of those three numbers, you can print number is not 5, 11, or 7. So the answer to the code, if you run it, will say because 7 is exactly equal to 7, it's going to print number is 7. You can just see on the left hand side here how much indent. The if and else need to line up, but when you do a new if under the first else, you need to indent it and you need to do a second time again. But programmatically it will work. Have a look at the activity. Fill in the blanks to compare the variables and the output the corresponding text. So x equals 10, no speech marks, so it's a number. Y equals 20, no speech marks again, so it's a number. So here, right, you can see by the size of the space you're looking at, this one is a lot smaller than this gap here. And you also notice there's also a gap here, which is where I made a mistake earlier, the first time I did it. So here, if it's only going to allow you 2 characters, I'm fairly sure it's going to be if. And once I put the if in, it automatically moves the cursor here. It's only looking for one thing. This is the thing that a lot of people miss out on, and that is a colon. And we're going to print else here. And then also the colon. You need to, it allows 5 spaces, so ELSE, but we need a colon again. Elif statements. The elif is short for else if statement, is a shortcut to use when chaining if and else statements. A series of if elif statements can have a final else block, which is called if none of the if or elif expressions are true. For example, num equals 7. If number exactly equal to 5, print number is 5. Elif. So instead of putting else if, we can just put elif. It just a bit. I mean, it saves like 2 characters. Elif number exactly equal to 11, print number is 11. Elif number. Sorry, but what you do notice here is that else, elif, elif, and if are all aligned together. They're not indented anyway. If you did if and then else and then if else, like the previous example, they were all kind of indented across the screen, whereas these are all in the same line. But the actual outcome of the question is the same. If the number is equal to 7, which it is in this line here, the number is 7. But we'll have a go to see. So here, a little tick box. In other programming languages, equivalents to the elif statement have varying names, including else if, or else if. I'm not quite sure why I'm bothering telling you that because you're doing Python, so. Whew. Tough question. A shorter option for an else if statement is elif. Okay, so that's walking through the first 3 of the control structure activities on Solo Learn for Python. I will leave you guys to work through those at your own pace. Feel free to carry on and do as many as you like. Other than that, I would just like to say that I appreciate all the hard work you guys have done in Year 8. I appreciate all the wonderful work you guys have done for me, and the work you guys have been doing over lockdown, which I'm sure wasn't the easiest thing, but none of us expected. So yeah, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate all the hard work you've all put in, the effort you've put in the classroom, the effort you've put in online. I will put the video on YouTube as always, so you can go on there. I will put it on show my homework team chats, whatever it's called this week. Feel free to watch it if you want me to hear me going over something again. I do think the way Solo Learn explain things is pretty good. So yeah, feel free, go work through it at your own pace. Other than that, thank you from me. Enjoy the 6-week holiday, or however long it is. I think it's 7 by the time you guys come back in. And yeah, have a good break. And thanks for your help. Sorry, thanks for your work and your effort through the year. Thanks a lot.